This episode is brought to you by the number 10. 10 episodes of Picard, 10 episodes of Mission Log Live, 10 p.m. Eastern, which makes it 7 p.m. Pacific. Here we all are again on a Monday night, safer on the internet. It's Mission Log Live. I'm John Champion.
And I'm Rekha Sharma. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. Your Star Trek pals are here for you, and we are delighted that you have joined us. We made it. We made it to the end of season 1 of Picard, humans since, and any of you who have elected to have your consciousness downloaded into an artificial body, or any kind of body, you're all welcome, is basically what we're saying.
Yes, each and every one of you. And as we do every week, we want this show to be about you. And you know how to do that by now. You click on the Zoom meeting link or use the one tap from your smartphone. You can also call us by dialing 669-900-6833 and entering the meeting code that you see on screen or in the notes. And by the way, I mean, I'm told right off the bat that we've got like 9 people waiting, which is awesome. I fully intend to get to everybody. And by the way, before we get into talking to everybody, I don't want to make a rule here. It won't be a strict rule that we stick by, but we're at episode 10. We've got 2 wrap-up shows for the season coming up. I'll be on next week with Norman, and then the week after that with Phil Plait, the Bad Astronomer, to really talk about the big picture, like the 30,000-foot view of Picard. So I would ask that our callers, if their comments are about the episode, awesome, let's try to stick with that. If they're about the season in general, maybe just a point or 2, but call back next week or the week after where we can really take time to dig in. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, save it. Save it, man, because I have written more notes for this episode than I think I've written for any of the other ones.
Wow,
together.
Nice.
And I'm probably not going to get to any of them because we got 9 callers.
I know, in a typical Mission Log fashion, I haven't read any of them. So
I haven't read yours either. It's half the fun.
Nice. That'll be fun for me too. Cool. Well, if you want to let people know then how they can call in if they want, and then we'll move along.
I mean, did you see the end coming for a mile away, or did it sneak up on you? Listen, you just got to click the Zoom meeting link or use the one tap or call 669-900-6833. You do that, you talk to Earl, and then you'll talk to us about Picard, current events, and, let us know how you're doing. Mind you, 9 people ahead of you, so hurry up!
Right. And by the way, there are so many people already hanging out in the chat room. I love to see that happening. There's Robert, there's Kenneth, there's Brian, there's other Brian. I love it when Brian and other Brian show up. You got Robert, you got Paul, you got Dennis, you got Alan, you got David. I'm sure other David is in there too. There's Lou, there's Chuck, there's James, who will actually be joining us on the call in a little bit. So many people. Even pleased to see that a buddy of mine from back home, Les, is watching the show right now. I haven't talked to Les in a long time. Actually, owe him a phone call, but I was doing show prep all day. So Les, I'll talk to you soon, my friend. We've got John, other John, unless I'm other John. Other John is there. So, and there's Dave, there's Brian. There's so many people I'm glad to see. Thank you all for joining us. I deeply appreciate that we're all here to hang out together. Look, we are your Star Trek pals. You are our Star Trek pals. That's what makes this fun, right?
Family.
Yeah, exactly. We all need to feel friendship and family right now anyway, all the time, but especially now. Yeah. So we normally do a coming up segment. I already told you what we're doing coming up. I'll have a wrap up next week with me and Norman, then a wrap up with Phil Plait, the Bad Astronomer. And then I'm planning something for the week of April 20th to be a little bit different, a little science oriented, because we need that now. So we'll have that happening. Announcements coming soon on that show. Hey, Rekha, tell us about our poll question from last week, would you?
Yes, I would be delighted to. What were you most disappointed that you didn't see in episode 9 of Picard was the question. The 2 options were angry reptilioids or homicidal fungi. Angry reptilioids came in at 64%. Holy smokes. Homicidal fungi. I mean, really not in high demand at 36%. I mean, but who doesn't like a homicidal fun guy?
Hey. Is that a Patrick Bateman reference there? I think it was. This week, we asked you about the wrap up with Data's story, his arc. What was a more satisfying Data story? Was it the arc in Nemesis, or was it what we got in Arcadia Ego Part 2? Well, the overwhelming majority, not shocked at all. 83% of you said a much more satisfying Data story in Arcadia Ego Part 2. Not shocked. Not shocked.
Very pleased.
Yeah. Everybody got it right, except for 17% of you.
Everybody.
Yay. I think I just need to jump right into it because we have so many people waiting. I know they want to talk. I'm just going to blast right through the recap, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. In Arcadia, Ego, Part 2. With Narek set free, he goes back to the crashed Borg cube to find, oh, hey, Narissa. Oh, hey, Narek. You're doing a bad job. No, you're doing a bad job. But Narek is going to grab a whole bunch of grenades while he's there. See ya. Back at the ranch, Picard is still in isolation and pleads with Soji one last time to not build the beacon to call upon the other super powerful species of synths. On La Sirena, Rios and Raffi are doing what they can to repair their ship with the little magic device given to them by one of the androids. Did I say magic? Yeah, magic, just like any other sufficiently advanced technology. Rios uses his imagination and, works, done. So that's resolved. Who should show up? But then Narek, throwing rocks to get their attention to see if he can work out some kind of truce. Rios and Raffi hear him out, as does Elnor, who shows up, having tracked Narek when he left the cube. Elnor does not trust Narek, but regardless, they are all a bit freaked out over the Romulan myth Ganmadan, sure, that's how you say it. More into the world stuff, a myth that has eerie parallels to what's happening now. All the while, the Romulan fleet is making good time to come wipe out everyone and everything on Coppelius before that beacon can be fired up. Commodore O is in charge, and fortunately, during any downtime, she has ample opportunity to soliloquize about their mission. Dr. Jurati is having a time, keeping it together in front of Dr. Sung to look like she's helping the synths, but really, she's got something else in mind. When she can, she steals the good eye from Arcana's body and uses it to bypass security into Picard's room. She's going to rescue him and take him right back to La Sirena to find the others who aren't there. No, the others made it to the synth's home with a bold plan to march in with Narek and use a grenade hidden in a soccer ball to blow up the beacon. They'll have a really rough time getting close. Lucky for them, Dr. Sung has had a bit of a change of heart after watching Saga's last memories while downloading her brain. Sutra killed her. That gives the doc a change of heart, and he's ready to help the would-be saboteurs. Sung confronts Sutra. He knows that she was playing on the synth's emotions to get them to support her plan. He deactivates her, leaving an opportunity for Rios and Narek to swoop in and blow up that monstrous Frank Gehry-designed beacon. Soji's too fast, though. She's committed. She catches the grenade and disposes it. Game over. As all of this is happening, Picard has been inspired to show, rather than tell the synths, what it means to live up to a principle, to sacrifice for the greater good. He and Dr. Jurati take La Sirena into orbit to greet the oncoming Romulan fleet. Even it will just buy them a little time before Starfleet can hopefully, maybe get there. Hey, remember that crashed Borg cube? Let's see, who's left there? Well, Seven, of course. She stayed behind. Oh, and Narissa, because for whatever reason, she's still there. Time for a fight. A good one, too, where Seven wins and finally, mercifully, Narissa goes flying down a steep drop, not to be rescued or beamed away to safety. She's gone this time. The Romulan fleet arrives. Orchids are deployed, which slow them down a little. It's not enough, though, of course. Picard and Jurati hatch a plan to use the Picard maneuver. No, not that one. The other one, to throw them off again by making it look like there are hundreds of La Sirena in the sky. Knowing it's probably his last shot, Picard calls Soji and begs her to disable the beacon. He's going to put his life on the line for it. Again, that works, but just for a second before La Sirena takes a hit of disruptor fire and spins out of control. The beacon comes to life. The Romulans aim their weapons all over Capellius. Picard seems to lose his focus. Fortunately, the fleet just came in, Starfleet that is, led by acting Captain Will Riker. He tells Commodore O that the Federation consider Capellius under their protection, thanks to Picard's opening diplomatic ties. So, O just commands her fleet to warm up their weapons. But over on La Sirena, Picard is getting worse and worse. His neural condition is reaching a critical point. He opens a channel to Soji, to the Federation, to the Romulans. He's begging Soji to make the right choice. He trusts her to show the Romulans that she is not the destroyer. They'll have no choice but to turn around. She does. She shuts it down. I mean, not until we get a glimpse of the really terrifying space tentacle monsters coming through from another dimension. But she closes it. They're gone. We're done here. Goodbye, Romulans. See you another time. And then Jean-Luc Picard dies. He shuffles off this mortal coil. He's an ex-admiral. But hold on. While everyone was grieving in their own way, sadly, solemnly, we were just at a super advanced lab where there's a golem and a machine that downloads your consciousness. Well, somewhere on the other side of that bright light is Data and Picard in a room talking about sacrifice and love and marveling at the complex quantum simulation where they find themselves now. Data's memories were saved and are here. But why is Picard? Well, this is a moment until he is downloaded into the body that Soong and Bruce Maddox created. Before Picard goes, though, Data has one final request. End the program. Awaking in his new body, really indistinguishable from the old one, except the brain condition is gone, Picard remembers his old friend and eulogizes him for always being curious and seeing the best in humanity. As the simulation deactivates, Data has a brandy, a rest on a sofa, and listens to Cole Porter as he and everything around him slips away into swirling pixels. Data is gone. Aboard La Sirena, our crew reunited. Rios and Jurati share a kiss. Raffi and Seven, well, they're having a drink and holding hands. Soji has decided to go back with them into Federation space now that the synth ban has been lifted. Fortunate also for Picard 2.0. The word is given. Engage. The end. Lots of plot, Rekha. Lots going on there. Yes. Hey, I think we just need to get right into it because we have people holding who have been holding and many more to go after that. Let's hop on over to Chris. Chris, what is up, my friend?
Hey, John. Hey, Rekha.
Hey.
I called in tonight. I have what might be a very hot and very controversial take to present to the court.
Hot take by Chris. What do you have? All right.
Hottest takes. Picard should have stayed dead.
Oh.
Well.
Yeah. What do you think, Rekha?
I mean, I feel like I get why he's saying that, but I want you to say why.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, to me, Picard's whole arc this season has been, he's ruminating on this one big failure that happened 2 decades ago. He failed to fight hard enough for the synths, and so he's just been wallowing in that, and he gets a chance to make that right. And I think it's really telling that we get that scene way back in episode 2 where he and Stargazer Doctor are having a fireside chat, and he first learns about his brain tumor, And Stargazer guy's like, you're gonna die, man. Do you really want to go out into dangerous space when you've got a year tops? And the card says yes, more than ever. His whole trajectory this season has been, if I get to do one more thing in my life, I'm gonna fix this, even if it means laying down my life to fix it. And I think he knows one way or another that's the way it was gonna end. I think there's also some nice sort of bookending symmetry that 20 years ago, Data sacrificed himself to save Picard. And here we have Picard sacrificing himself to metaphorically and perhaps a little physically save Data's daughter. So I think that would have been a really nice bookend. I also want to say, I don't think you have to, get rid of Patrick Stewart. There are ways you could have him back, but I do think Picard, the character, should have stayed dead. Bringing him back, and especially bringing him back so soon, sort of cheapens the sacrifice of that moment.
Boom. Hot take by Chris. What do you think, Rekha?
I get what you're saying. What I like about the fact that he doesn't die, and I 100% agree with you, but I don't think it is cheapened because of the fact that, he says that speech, that's why I save your life. So you can save ours in return. That's the whole point. That's why we're here, to save each other. And then what ends up saving him? But synth technology, the very thing that everybody was so afraid of. There's that moment where we think he's about to die. And Dr. Girardi has no other idea. She can't think of anything better. And it's Soji who's like, nope, beaming you out of there, because she knows what to do. She knows there's another possibility. So it's using one's imagination to come up with a solution that I think is like a win-win solution where everybody wins. And that's sort of the whole point that I think the finale makes. And I love.
I see both of your points. I kind of wish that from a production point of view, we hadn't known that Picard had gotten renewed for a second season before we saw this finale.
Yeah.
It really, really took away from it. And also to sort of telegraphing, hey, we have a golem. Hey, you can put a consciousness into this thing. Mm-hmm. Really kind of led us to that point. I also feel like, a lot of popular entertainment does this now, but Star Trek is really bad about it, which is we're going to kill a character and then bring that character back. And if we do,
right? My entire existence.
Yeah. Sorry to bring back those memories, Rekha. But and sometimes you have to let things sit and have meaning and realize they're not just going to come back. I did a guest spot on a podcast that will be out a few weeks from now where we talked about The Wrath of Khan and how interesting that was, that when you saw that movie in 1982, Spock was dead. And you had to wait at least 2 years, I guess. Search for Spock came out in 1984, to know how that was going to resolve itself. And that was a big deal because we weren't used to just killing off a character and then that character coming back literally in the same story. Now we do that a lot. And it's not just Star Trek, but we do that a lot. I had part of me had hoped that the Picard series or this season would just be one complete story that ends with sending that character off. And that's how you send them off. And we just tell a complete story, beginning to end, that doesn't get to continue just because we have a technology to make it continue. However, Rekha, I like your case for how thematically his quote-unquote resurrection falls into what happened. Yeah. So I don't disagree with how thematically that's really nice, but I think just from a production point of view, I I like your hot take, Chris, and I don't think you're alone out there.
No, you know what, John, I feel like you just came up with the solution. Too bad you weren't in the writer's room. But I feel like if they had ended it with Picard dying, and then next season we get to see, oh, actually, no, he was saved, then we still get that theme carried through, but we would have been able to have that kind of satisfaction of that sacrifice.
Interesting. Yeah.
Maybe that would have been the way to do it. Best of both worlds.
Oh, point of phrase. Yes. I like that a lot. Hey, Chris, I know that we could do this all night, but we got other people standing by. Any parting shot for us here before you go?
No, just wanted to promote my hot take.
Love it.
Good to both of you guys. And maybe I'll call back in next week and we can have some more discussions about this.
Excellent, man. Thank you so much. You have a great night, okay?
Yeah, you too, man.
All right, take care. Hey, going next to Cosmo. By the way, Cosmo, don't want to share too much here. If I'm out of step, I apologize. Cosmo, father to twins, just born, 2 weeks ago? 10 days? Oh, wait, we don't have you on audio. We need to unmute you. Oh, no, you're still muted.
Muted. Unmuted?
There we go. Now you're unmuted.
All right. March 19th was when they were born. And
March 19th.
I love it.
Thank you. A boy and a girl, Cade and Cecilia are their names. And it's been really weird with the coronavirus lockdown in Los Angeles getting there. We're lucky that the hospital's only allowing one parent per day per child, but we got twins. So they're, for now, allowing both of us to go in there. But other families, only the mom or the dad can go in per day. It's really rough.
Wow.
And twins are both doing real well. They did not seem interested when I tried to tell them the Picard recap. How dare they?
That's so weird. Yeah.
I know. And James, my little 5-year-old, is chomping at the bit. He's like, why haven't I been able to see Picard? Yeah, you get stressed out by some TOS episodes. I'm not going to let you see Picard yet.
What he's older.
And how many F-bombs this episode? Jeez Louise.
How many F-bombs, decapitations? Yeah. We'll wait for a little while. I might show him Riker showing up.
There you go.
Let's see where to start. Following up on what you guys were just talking about, do you think Jean-Luc would have liked being put in a synthetic body? It's not like in Tapestry where he was randomly shot and found Q in the afterlife and he was taken. Jean-Luc seemed really at peace with his decision to sacrifice himself for this cause, and then to be woken up and put in a synth body. I'm not sure if he would have reacted so positively. And there's a lot of room for us to go in season 2. Does he still have a soul? There's lots of interesting questions that can be posed now. But I hate the nature of marketing that we knew that season 2 was greenlit already, because that whole 10 minutes where Rafi and everybody's mourning Picard, I'm saying there's season 2. So this is all meaningless. But that's just the nature of the beast nowadays. But do you think Jean-Luc would have been so okay with it?
Ooh, man, that is a good question. If Star Trek has shown us anything, it's that toying with that kind of technology rarely ever ends well. What are little girls made of? And, we kicked off early season 1 with a story where putting human consciousness into android bodies does not go well for anybody.
Picard was pretty mad that that scientist was in Data's body.
Yeah. And then we all kind of looked askance at the programming in Data's mom when she turned out to be an android. So That's the tough question. I think obviously they have to approach this in season 2. And I do agree with you that I think it's a good sort of existential philosophical question to bandy about. I think that's a wonderful thing for Star Trek to take on. We've talked about on a mission log before, just to say like, hey, are we, and I would fall on this side that, consciousness is the meat between our ears doing its job. And I know that Ken, I have to talk to him about this too, would say, yeah, take my neural patterns, download them, put them wherever, in a box, in a body, whatever, just keep it going. We'll just see how long we can keep that running. But I think what you're hitting on here, Cosmo, is a question about consent. Given a choice, would Picard have wanted that? It's hard to see who wouldn't want that, but he was doing something very specific. He was ending this mission with self-sacrifice. So hard to say. I wonder if they would have even talked about this in the writer's room or with Patrick Stewart, because, hey, let's face it, he's a producer on this show and he gets to have some creative input too. Rekha, any ideas there?
I mean, my only thought really is, I had the same feeling when I was watching the episode. I had the same question come up for me. Like, would he be so cool with this? He seems really cool with this really fast. I don't know. Like, I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a struggle with it. I think that would be more true.
I think we can chop a lot of that up to just the compactness of that last 2 hours. And can anybody tell me what happened to Narek? Last time I saw him, they all got tackled and scuffled with the sense before, when they tried to do the grenade thing. I don't think we saw him again, did we?
No, I think we didn't. And I want to say, I can't remember if Michael Chabon said anything about that when he did a Q&A the other day. I'll have to go back and look at that.
I assume cutscene, probably Commander O beamed him up, but that was just an odd thing. And it was so compact. So I'm sure if they would have had 4 hours, we would have seen Picard grapple with it a little bit more, but it was pretty tight.
Yeah.
Couple quick, let's see. I'll start with the positives. I loved every second of Riker. I just adored seeing him on the bridge in a uniform, not in the Pizza Man outfit. I loved Seven. I know there's some people on the internet complaining that she was drinking alcohol and that's against her character. It's been 20 years since she's seen a lot of crap. Who cares?
Been through a lot. It adds to her
a lot. Yeah. Absolutely. And I read what Chabon said about how the hand holding between Raffi and Seven was based off of a little chemistry they had when Raffi handcuffed Seven in the Casino Planet episode. That totally went over my head. I didn't catch up on any of that.
I didn't catch that either. Yeah.
I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah.
And
I did at the time.
So that came like out of left field, but again, I don't care. And Seven, who was, her development stopped when she was 6 years old. She's gonna fall in love with whoever. So internet outrage about that. But I love
love
the
is love,
moments.
Man. Love is love.
Yeah, exactly. The internet can take a hike. Yeah,
exactly. And I wish the Borg Cube would have done something. I got so excited in the previous episode when it came out of the subspace thing, and I said, yes, the Borg Cube's gonna... the Orchid took it down, and then it never got up. So that bummed me out. And then the Starfleet fleet all being one kind of ship kind of bummed me out. And the fact we never even got a hero shot of Riker's ship to get a good look at it.
Yeah, I did go back and freeze frame some of that. There are like a couple of designs in there, maybe like 3, but they were not shot well. They were not presented well. I agree. I mean, for me, it's one of those things where, okay, once you have more than 50 ships on screen or whatever, sure, it's 200, whatever. It's just a lot. And that doesn't heighten the drama for me to just have more and more and more and more.
Right. And but you look back to, you're just getting there now with Deep Space Nine. They managed to do it. And it was so cool seeing a Miranda, an Excelsior, an Ambassador in that Deep Space Nine fleet. And I know now it's digital. It's not just throwing an old redressed model. So that would have been really expensive. But I freeze framed it too. And I was disappointed by the lack of detail there. And then last question to pose to you guys. So this whole season started off with Romulan Empire is decimated. They're all in different factions, scattered, kind of like the Bajorans were. And yet they're able to pull out the Tal Shiar or the Josh 218 warbirds. That's not too bad for a decimated culture with that's living on the moon desert planet with the cafe. So I found that a little odd, but
that's a very good point. Yeah, all I can say is replicators, man. Replicators. And Romulan work ethic. They got it.
Yep. That's it for me. I just went to a local restaurant. We're on lockdown here in Los Angeles. They're still doing takeout. The governor said we can take out alcohol, so I got 2 margaritas to go. So I encourage everybody to support the local restaurants because they're hurting like all of us. And and thank you for the podcasting content in these dark, stuck-at-home times.
Yeah, and while you're mentioning this, it's always an option to buy a gift certificate to a restaurant. If you don't feel comfortable going there, just cash it in when things are better. But they can use the money now.
Right on to that. Hey, Cosmo, thank you so much for everything and for the comments and the great tip. And congratulations once again. And we'll say goodnight for now, but we'll be back, okay?
Been a pleasure, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, take care. Hey, standing by, where is he? Where'd he go? Benjamin. Benjamin is with us now, and hopefully, there we go. He is unmuted. How are you doing tonight, Benjamin?
I'm doing well. Fortunately for me, my work usually looks like social distancing anyway on a normal day. I work by myself.
Wait, which pinball machine are you working on now?
Oh, this is a 1978 Gottlieb Joker poker. They made 2 versions of this. They made an electromechanical version and an electronic version. And so the EM version is like with the little score reels that flip around physically. This is one of those. It's a pretty rare machine. A friend of mine has had this in the family since 1978 when it was made. And it really, 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 really needed a restoration job badly. So I'm in the process of repainting most of the, I just did all the whites on this and have been weeding out the masking as you've been talking.
That is the coolest.
It's awesome.
That is so awesome. Yeah.
It's a great thing to do if you're stuck at home and have literally nowhere to go. So
very cool. So, hey, what can we chat about tonight?
Well, I'm going to keep it brief because, I really have a lot more to say about the show as a whole than I do about this episode in particular. So I would love to come back on next week and talk about other things. And just for the sake of getting in a couple minutes, can we just talk about how disappointing the Romulan thing has been in this whole arc? That started out with such amazing promise. And then, Narek is just sort of like there, and I don't really care about him. They tried to make us care about him. Cheerful and sad. And his sister is the Baroness from G.I. Joe and never became more compelling at any point.
I agree. I wrote down, I was like over it. I did not care one iota when she gets killed. It's too black and white. It's not real. Boring.
Yeah. I mean, I was fine with it. I was like, okay, good. We won't have to deal with her anymore.
Yeah, totally.
It might be a thing for next week. There are a lot of things I wanted to talk about, which we don't have time for. But I want.
Oh man, Benjamin, you're breaking up.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Am I back?
Yeah. It's like the beginning of a $6 Million Man. He's breaking up. Yeah.
I just, ideas like this Romulan Bene Gesserit sisterhood type of thing, in which I'm all for. I thought that was really compelling. In Next Gen, that might have been something that you got introduced to at one point, and then a bunch of episodes later or a season later, we come back to it and we do a deep dive into that. And I feel like the plottedness of this season-long arc story, we got 10 episodes, we got to like cover all this ground and have all this intrigue and wrap it all up.
Oh, we lost him again.
Oh gosh.
Hey, I'll sort of latch onto that real quick and say, yeah, as far as the Romulans go, with what we got with Narissa, absolutely, just come on, mustache twirling villain. I don't think you can sustain that. You can't sustain that over 10 episodes. That drove me crazy. But the deeper, more interesting ideas about the Romulans could have and should have been carried out much longer. And this will probably be a seasonal note that I'll have as well when we talk about that. It seems like there are certain elements that they would pick and choose where I go, wow, that would have been great to really explore for 10 episodes. But then why did they take this other thing and force it to be stretched out 10 episodes when it didn't need to be?
I agree,
and
100%.
The choices made on some of those just baffled me.
I thought we were going to get this big juicy idea, and then it was just kind of left on the table, and then kind of walked away from it. So
Hey, call us back. I'm sorry. I never ever want to cut things short with you, but the connection is being insane.
Absolutely, we'll try it again next week.
All right, man. Take care. Get back to that machine.
There.
Okay. See you. Take care, Rekha.
Take care.
Bye.
Standing by, friend of the show, friend of mine, friend of yours, Rekha, it's James Kerwin.
Woohoo!
How are you tonight, James? How's it going, man?
Not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. Good to see you guys.
Welcome.
So one thing that I feel, we bring up these issues of consent, which I think is an incredibly important issue. Incredibly important. What was in Picard's will? Did he have any type of end of life wishes? Did he have a do not resuscitate order? Did he have anything that would in any way, shape, or form indicate to Soong and Jurati that he would want his consciousness copied into a golem? I mean, these are questions that the show completely just glossed over and didn't answer at all. Yeah. But there's also a deeper question here. And this is one that the philosopher David Chalmers tends to pose, and Stuart Hameroff, who is a doctor at University of Arizona, discusses this a lot as well, which is continuity of consciousness. If that's the golem Picard is not Picard. Picard died. They didn't move his consciousness into a golem. They copied it. The same with Data. That's not Data in the computer. Data died. They made a copy of Data's consciousness inside that computer. So while the new Picard has all of Picard's memories and he feels like he's Picard, where's the continuity of consciousnness there? Mm-hmm. And for that matter, why wasn't Data put into a new body? I mean, there's no, if they were able to restore Data's entire neural pattern from the one neuron in B4, which is a stretch, but fine, whatever. Why didn't they put him in a new body? These synths obviously were making tons of synths. They were making tons of synth bodies. Soong and Maddox could have easily made a new Data body, and they didn't. And what I feel about the show, and this is something that's been true with Picard in general, is that it leaves these lingering questions that the episodes themselves do not answer. Mm-hmm. And then the showrunner goes online the next day and says, okay, well, you can ask me questions. And then the fans go, okay, well, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Why did this happen? He says, oh, here's why. And then everyone's satisfied. Yeah, I feel like that sets a very dangerous precedent. Yes. Because are we now saying we can make television seasons, we can make films that are not self-contained, that do not answer their own questions, that leave things that make no sense and have no explanation? But it's okay because the writer will go online the next day and tell you all of those things and fill them in for you.
Yeah.
That's like almost a transmedia thing now. You can't actually just watch the show and understand what happened. You've got to go on to his Q&As the next day to figure out what the hell happened. And I think that I appreciate him doing that for the fans, and I appreciate the effort. But I feel like it's establishing a weird precedent that we've never really seen in television before, you know? That's my thought.
That is so many good points, James. Like, but I mean, one thing is like, then, to explain all those details, does it become too expositional? If you've only got, part of what we're dealing with here is short seasons. Back in the day,
couldn't they have
episodes a season? Now you've only got 10 to complete an arc.
Even one line of dialogue explaining why Data couldn't have been transferred into a new body. Oh, there's something corrupted.
It has a reason for that, but
right. I just feel like there are ways that could have been addressed. It's the old story when they were making Frasier with Kelsey Grammer, where there was a Frasier episode where it was established that Frasier hates wine clubs. Uh-huh. And then there is another episode several seasons later where they wrote it to say, Frasier's joining this great prestigious wine club and he can't wait. And Kelsey Grammer pointed out, wait a minute, no, 3 years ago, I said that so they wrote a line of dialogue. Hey, I thought you hated wine clubs. I hate the ones that don't invite me. So but with one humorous line of dialogue, they were able to fix a plot point like that. That's just good writing, And I feel like if they had just, again, I like that he's going online and interacting with the fans. God bless him for doing that. But it does feel to me like there are so many dangling threads every week in this show. So not to say I don't like the show. I really enjoy it. But I've never seen a TV show that leaves more things hanging unexplained than this one does.
I have to agree with you. And there's a difference between leaving things ambiguous for your imagination versus doing things that just seem completely out of step, that is this hanging thread that doesn't need to be. A little ambiguity is fine. A little bit of asking some imagination out of the audience is fine. But when you've got 10 episodes to build us up to this point, you can actually start to lay the groundwork because you're going to land there anyway. That it seems careless to not have important things like that taken care of and either have to rely on some other interview that I read or just say sort of the blow-off answer, just wait till season 2. Well, right. Are you really going to cover all this in season 2? By the way, one thing about Picard 2.0, the Picard in the Golem not being Picard, I agree with you. And Dave Taylor online says, again, transporters do that all the time. And we had a great conversation, many conversations about that on Mission Log, saying, transporters we've used as Deus Ex Machina many times in Star Trek to either reverse age Dr. Pulaski or, cure a disease, solve a problem. Because you're starting out with a brand new thing, that original person who started out on the transporter pad is torn apart atom by atom, probably more fun than it sounds. And then a new version is constructed elsewhere. But to your point, James, yes, to your consciousness, quote unquote, you feel the same. It feels like you maintain all the memories that you had, but it's not you. It is a new version of you. And hopefully, if I had my vote, I would say, yes, you asked if Picard had a DNR or a will or whatever. My will say, make all heroic efforts to put my consciousness or a copy of my neural patterns into a robot body, no matter how much it costs.
But also give that robot body superpowers, which they did do to Picard.
Yes.
They didn't give him an extra 10 or 20 years. They didn't give him superpowers, just one superpower. Come on, just one. That's all you need, like a bionic eye or something. Yeah. Don't get it, man. Great points, James. Anything else tonight?
Wanted that one eye, so he's going to have to wear some weird glasses too, to deal with the.
Steve Austin was okay with it. $6 Million Man only had in his right eye. Yeah, he only had one bionic eye.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So. Listen, if I wish I had this conversation, 5 years ago when James and I first met, because I would have liked to have known that I was a completely new human being when I was getting transported on Star Trek Continues there.
Yeah.
So
played that moment very differently.
yeah, in every
mess
scene
you
you would
up.
have been completely a little bit of a different Avi Samara
Brand
from
new-
the one that you were.
Brand new Avi.
I'm glad I didn't tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we say, out of all the mirror universes, out of all the possibilities of mirror universes, they just keep going back to the same one. Or I want to see them going to a mirror universe where everything is the same except 6 inches to the left. That's it. That's how you know it's different. Everything 6 inches to the left. James, thank you so much, pal. For
Thanks,
calling in.
guys.
All right,
All
we'll
right.
see you soon. Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Ciao.
All right. Next up, we have Steve, who has been waiting patiently to chat with us. Steve, how are you doing tonight?
I am very well, thank you, John. Good
Excellent.
morning to you and Rekha from the very northeast of England.
Good
Ooh.
morning.
Oh, you stayed up very late or very early.
I've stayed up very early for a few times recently.
Okay.
It's always been worth it. Thank you very much,
1
my Star
a.m. or
Trek
something,
pals.
2 a.m. What is it?
I don't want to look, Rekha. Have a look. I'm not allowed to go outside tomorrow morning anyway, so exactly what time it is doesn't really make much difference.
Irrelevant. Who knows what day it is, what time.
Exactly.
All that goes out the window.
We're living on Gene Roddenberry time.
Yes.
So my point was, and I was kind of surprised that I wanted to say this, my teenage self would have watched that final episode and seen them lining up for that potential battle and Riker throwing down and having the great smash talking line about wanting to take on that Romulan fleet, which I loved. Don't get me wrong. I loved that. But teenage me wanted that big battle. But if I've taken anything from the character of Jean-Luc Picard, I was delighted that the battle didn't happen, that he prevented it.
I
And
love that.
Yes.
Isn't that just Star Trek? Isn't that just Jean-Luc Picard? Isn't that the whole point?
Yes.
He gave everything to stop that happening. I'm so excited about the big battles in DS9 with the Dominion War. I enjoyed all of that, but that's Picard. Stop people fighting each other. Stop people dying. Find a different way through it. There's always another way through it.
Oh, Steve, I cannot tell you how happy I am that you called in with that note. I took a similar note. I made sort of a column of things that I loved, things that I did not love in this episode. But one of the things that I loved was that we did not end up with a fight, that we didn't end up with a big battle, because Picard did everything he could to prevent that from happening, even sacrificing himself, only to be reborn in a golem, whatever. But yes, but sacrificing everything to say you try, and then you try again, and then you try again, and then you try again. It was absolutely a Star Trek message. So thank you for noticing that and expressing that very eloquently in this call.
It was the whole point. And ultimately, we kind of knew, because the season was renewed for season 2, that it wasn't really.
Yes.
But the point was, he prevented the massive battle and other people dying.
Yes. So well said. I got nothing to add to that unless you do, Rekha.
I do not. Good morning to you all.
Loved it.
Oh, well, have a big cup of coffee to get you through the rest of your day. Take care.
I'm going to go to sleep.
Okay, go to sleep then. Cheers. Take care. Bye, Steve.
Bye.
Okay, next up we have Eric. Eric, you are on. How's it going?
It's going all right, John. I can actually get on the screen this time.
So nice.
Yeah.
Love that shirt, too.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Thought I should put it on since I'm finally going to be in these days of social distancing and everyone on Zoom. I had to finally
love it.
And
yes,
dress appropriately. So I was a bit disappointed in the with TNG. Star Trek evolved its stance on artificial intelligence data. I was hoping that by now it would have evolved its stance on transhumanism. But you talked about this slightly with James about the no superpowers, no extra 20 years. He can only get a slight extension to his life. The only difference being is that he doesn't have that neuro problem. That's one slight problem that I have. I wish they could have embraced that a bit more. If they had to do it at all. But I also have a big problem with when Data had to say about how that life is valuable because it's finite. I wish we could get away from the idea that things are valuable because of how scarce or limited they are, and appreciate value based on what things are and what they do for us. And I think that, I guess it's not post-scarcity society anymore in Star Trek, but it used to be that we thought about Star Trek as being its future, where people could get past this idea that value is gotten or is appreciated through things being limited and having to fight over resources.
Go ahead, Rekha. No, please. You first.
I totally appreciate what you're saying. I love that you want to reach for something that it isn't about scarcity and limited and fighting for over limitation. I love that idea, but I'm going to say I don't think that's the point. The name of the episode is, E.T. and Arcadia, and Arcadia refers to a vision of pastoralism and harmony with nature. So here you have this place that is about being in harmony with nature. And what is one of the things that we know about nature? Well, there's a few things, but everything changes, and death and rebirth are probably the thing that we know the most about nature. Everything dies. There is 4 seasons. The foliage dies off the trees. It comes back. So I don't think that it's limited in its finiteness. I think the nature of the world is that things die and are reborn.
Yeah.
For what that's worth. And I do think there is a preciousness in that. I do think that adds value. And in that, I don't think we should be afraid of or running to hold on to things, because it's actually totally normal and natural for them to go.
Eric and Rekha, I would even say that I almost want to do this as not even a live show, but have a moral philosopher come on and do a mission log supplemental about it. Because Eric, I think I see partly what you're saying, which is that, when we look at resources in a way that they are precious or not precious based on their scarcity, I do get that part of it. I really do. And Star Trek has this world where things, objects, inanimate objects, don't have the value on them that they do today. Today, gold is valuable because we say it is, and we just all sort of agree on that because it's rare. And theoretically, in Star Trek's future, you can replicate what you need, so you don't have to put an artificial value on things. Philosophically, I part ways, though, basically because of what you were saying, Rekha, which is that there's something that I find disturbing about the idea of immortality, or just a life that goes on and on and on, even in different versions or an afterlife or whatever, because then it sort of takes the onus off of what we do now and the time that we have now, the people that we interact with now, and our responsibility to our lives now. And I hope that that's part of the message that came through with that, is that for Data, it would lose meaning to just constantly be on this loop in this space. Even if you downloaded him into a new body and you could keep doing that ad infinitum, and he would live another 1,000 years, and then another 1,000 years, and then another 1,000 years. Well, what then becomes the point after that if all those days just add up? It's a little harder for us to put ourselves in his shoes, but as human beings, we are acutely aware of our finiteness.
And also the finiteness of each moment. It's not necessarily about things or beings, but also just like, I'm never going to have this moment again. So can I be present to it? Can I really enjoy it and be here with you wonderful people? You know, if it keeps going on and on and on, then I might not appreciate it so much.
I sort of remember Leonard Nimoy's last tweet before he passed away. And I know that I won't get the wording exactly right, but bear with me. Perfect memories can be had, but not saved except in memory. And I love that idea that he's acknowledging that, yes, we have perfect moments and we have amazing, profound connections as humans and all of these, but they're not forever. They can't be forever. But we get to experience them through memory and then share those memories with other people who also get to do the same thing. I
totally need a supplemental for this. We seriously.
I know. I feel so bad, Eric, because I want us all to like call in and actually do a show where we're not trying to watch the clock, because I think this is really interesting grounds for a much longer talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find the time to call it again and talk about it. So if you decide on when that's going to be, that you're going to talk about this, and then, or whenever you get the philosophers back on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Eric, shoot me an email or shoot the group an email, missionlog@roddenberry.com. And I've got in mind somebody who we might be able to bring in, a couple of people to bring in.
Great topic. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Thanks so much. Take care.
You too.
Man, it got deep. That's so cool. I love it when that happens on the show. It gets deep. We have great callers and great questions. Hey, Rekha, it's about 3 minutes until we wrap. I think we have 4 more people hanging on. Can we go a little bit long tonight?
Let's go longer tonight.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I want to hear. Hey, looks like standing by, we have Paul joining us now. Paul from somewhere far away in the cosmos. How are you tonight, Paul?
Just fine, thank you. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I'm having fun with the Zoom background, so
I love it. You just switched again. Nice. Well, what's on your mind tonight, Paul?
Planet sterilization pattern number 5.
Okay, my note was I want to know what 1 through 4.
Yeah, really, are they not good enough? I mean, come on, you have to go with number 5. How many of them are there? I mean, is this your favorite?
Well, okay, and please, for all that is right with the world, please tell me that they had a Plan 9.
Exactly.
from outer space. Please tell me.
Please.
Yes.
All right. Well, that was one big thing, but good. I did want to. What else did I write in my little notes here? I did notice that Data needs a lore, just as Soji needs a sutra.
Oh, yes, very good.
So anyway, I don't want, you've got two more other people waiting, so I'm going to keep moving along. I just wanted to, you've had some very deep conversations, and
is that it?
Lighten it up a little bit.
Well, I do love it. Paul, you always send very interesting insights to our Facebook page. I thank you for that. I thank you for calling in from the surface of the sun.
Yeah.
Very well done. And thank you.
Time.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
And it looks like we've got Brian standing by, otherwise known as BC, the man with the hats, although not wearing a hat tonight. Brian, welcome to the show.
Greetings from the deck of La Serena here.
Nice. That's so cool.
Yeah, I was just trying to clean up the place. You know, there's like cigar ash on everything around here. Oh, my God.
Hey, at least it's easy to get a drink around there, though. So
True.
You know.
True. Okay, well, as usual, here at 9:50 or 7:59, 8 o'clock. Most people have covered things I want to say. I know you don't want to get into the deep stuff, but I have to say I'm a little disappointed. No mention of Juliana, you know, Data's mom. But likewise, there's been no mention of Lore, which is probably for the best, but it's kind of he's hanging out there. He's in the drawer under B4 at the Daystrom Institute. No one wants to touch him. No one wants to. So I'm still wondering if we still have some exploring to do with.
You know, it is interesting. We never got a name check of Laura. We never got a name check of Lal either, did we? I don't think we did.
Three.
It just, yeah.
3 androids that weren't mentioned at all.
Yeah, it just seems strange that you wouldn't sort of. I understand where maybe from the writer's perspective they thought, well, maybe this is too much minutia, but it is a sort of obvious. Like there were other experiments here.
Yeah, but you know, then if you wedge them all in to what we've already determined is far too short of a season or a series run, then I don't know.
It's interesting. Carrie in the chat says, I was convinced that Alton was Lore. And I saw that.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that propagated out there a little bit. I wonder from both of you, did either of you think that it was too sudden that Alton is just sort of the good guy there to help? Or did you feel like they were building him up to be not what he seems? What did you make of that?
It felt a little too soon to me, but there was a pretty pivotal moment for him.
Too soon? I saw what you did there.
Oh, dude.
Take it away, Brian. What do you think?
He was kind of a 11th hour addition. And of course, he brought the Golem along with him, which kind of made you go, oh, yeah, Dying Picard, Golem. kind of semaphored that a little bit in my mind. I kind of saw how it was going to turn out. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they had Brent Spiner on retainer and they had to do something more with him. And
I don't think it was that, honestly.
Okay, well, yeah.
It wasn't.
Well, it's lovely. It's always lovely to see him. I kept calling him Alton Brown soon.
Well, you sure can cook, you know.
That was the line when Picard pops out of the Easy Bake, right? It's like, can I cook or can I? Anyway, I'll let you guys go. I think there's one or two more people.
Well, thanks so much, Brian. It's good to see you. We'll do this again. Okay.
Sure we will.
Take care, man.
Bye.
All right. It wouldn't be Mission Log Live without the Vice Admiral. Visited by someone who outranks all of us. Welcome to the show, Vice Admiral. And thanks for hanging on.
Hey, anytime. Good to see you both.
Likewise.
Good to see you in the office, John.
There you go. Oh, I had to. Yeah, felt good to get out today. So
every once in a while.
Yeah. But believe me, not often. So what's on your mind about our finale here for Picard?
Well, I think the thing that nobody's been, and I'm not going to do it either tonight. We're not going to talk about, I think, the whole ending with Data tonight because it's going to take a while to really unpack that emotionally, I think. But so I'm going to let that wait till one of the next 2 weeks. And instead, I'm going to say this, as we were talking about Alton there for a minute, or AI Soong, as his initials are. The question is, the whole thing, the whole show, the whole moment for Soji was that Picard was giving her the choice to, so they could save each other. But why was it only her? Why was it her sister gets turned off with, oh, look, I have an off switch for you. Here you go. And yes, she did murder one of her sisters, but that was just so quick to go between, the week before when Sutra was the big bad all of a sudden. And then Alton just walks up and says, yep, I'm going to make this choice for you and see how she does.
Wow. Yeah. And that sort of, not only does it imply that the androids are just machines, they're oh gosh, where have I heard the term toasters before? They're just things that can be, plugged in or unplugged, but it also implies a level of ownership then that Sung owns them and owns their agency and can do with them as he pleases. That there's something.
Yeah. Now, I think the difference would be between the ones from the earlier generation that all look like they have the skin tones and eyes of Data, and then the other ones that have more human flesh tones. I think there's probably a difference there. Maybe the later ones, the Soji ones, do not have that, but
yes, yeah, the ones who are indistinguishable from humans because they are flesh and blood, but they are manufactured as opposed to mechanically built like Data or like the F8s or what Sutra was. Yeah.
But Sung definitely took her agency away.
Yeah, 100%. Wow, I didn't even think about that because we saw Data reveal that he has an on-off switch, but then I think he only told 2 people about it, something like that, and he even made the point like if you had an on-off switch, you wouldn't let anybody know either.
Exactly.
So, yeah, but that does raise sort of an ethical question about Sung, who we were led to believe maybe is not entirely what he seems, but then he turned out to be pretty okay. Maybe that's more to be explored in season 2. I don't know.
Maybe. We also a couple of there's always the loose plot holes. Where's Narek, right?
Yeah, although people in the chat did mention.
Oh yeah, there was talk.
Earl said, yeah, that Narek was handed over to Starfleet security, but we. Yeah,
you mean Commodore O?
Get that in the end. Yeah, right. They're so good with their security, right? Okay, why was Commodore O, who has spent presumably decades working her way up to be the head of Starfleet security, just all this goes down and it's like, yeah, I'm just going to go back and take my title in the Romulan force and show up commanding this fleet of over 200 ships. Like,
Now that at least I think I get. I think this is like the culmination of her life's work, right? And the life's work of several generations of the Javash before her. And she thought, well, this is all we've been doing this for. This is our entire existence has been for this moment.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Okay. I just think she might be a little rusty on Romulan technology and battle techniques. She spent most of her time at Starfleet, but maybe she's been doing some online learning. She's been, keeping up to date. There are all kinds of ways to spend her off time. Yeah, very studious people the Romulans are. Yeah. What else? Anything else tonight?
Well, I think I'll let the remaining folks, even if I think it's just Lou, but either way, I think, excuse me, I think I'll let everybody finish up. I'm looking forward to the 2 follow-up episodes quite a lot, and we'll have some, I think, interesting bits to throw in there.
Yeah. For people who are watching right now and heard you say that, I've got some of my notes that I felt like were really season-wide notes, so I'm going to move some of those over to talk about in the coming couple of weeks. So absolutely, because I think there are some big arcs to talk about here.
Oh yeah,
our overall impressions for sure. Yeah. All right, man.
Well, both of you stay safe, and I hope to see you again in a week.
Thank you. All right, we'll see you later, Tom. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
All right. And then wrapping up the show tonight, and thank you everybody who has stayed a little late with us. I really appreciate it. We've got Lou. Lou,
John?
welcome to the show.
Hey, Lou. You Canadian?
Yes, ma'am. I wanted to greet you from one Canadian actor to another.
Awesome.
Oh, and John, I have a surprise gift here.
Oh my!
You can see. Rekha's not in on the joke. Most of the time that I call in, I don't wear pants. So this is just for you. A couple of times I've called in completely naked. Exactly. No, you feast your eyes.
Yeah, feast
your eyes.
Okay.
I guess sometimes they save the best for last, and sometimes it's just scrap. So I guess I loved anticipating Picard. Oh, she hasn't seen my shirt yet.
The Trek trivia. Sorry. Oh wow, with your name on it too.
Yep, the last of it. I was big at conventions. I used to be Canada's classic Trek expert.
Wow!
Now, of course, everybody out there is going to throw me a question that I can't answer just out of spite. I know.
Yeah. They're already doing it in the chat. No. What's on your mind tonight? How are we going to wrap this up about the Picard finale?
They tell us as comics you don't want to follow a better comic, so you had to put me after the Vice Admiral.
Right.
I will. Okay. Let's talk about death.
Hey.
I am not convinced, and I've forgotten her name already. Narek's sister, the Romulan.
Narissa.
Yeah. I am not convinced she's dead. She had a great fall.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't hear a splat. We didn't see brain matter. We didn't see any evidence of that. She could still be falling as we speak. We don't know how deep that ship is or whatever. But there was so there's that. I am looking forward to season 2, and I'm pressing my agent to try to get me an audition for it. I said, if you do nothing else, get me on to Picard.
So I'm picturing a missing scene right now. It was Seven with a rope, just like rappelling down into that, and like it cut to like a shot of her boot, kind of like tapping, make sure she dead. She dead? Wait, really? Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, look, I feel. I know that Peyton List is a good actor. I felt like that character was extremely limited. And I understand the idea of, first of all, writers trying to break up sort of the pacing and the tone of a show. So if you're going to have, your A plot will feel one way. For the sake of texture, you want the B plot to feel another way. You don't want all the characters to be cut from the same cloth, and you want to throw the audience some curveballs. I get all of that, and probably the director thinking the same thing as well. We're hitting one thing with part of our show, so tonally I want to change it for the other part of the show. I feel like this was a gross mismatch, though, and I feel like. She and Narek sometimes. I think Narek was better as the show went on, and particularly in this last episode where there's a little bit of redemption for him, maybe. I just felt like it was an underused, underdeveloped character for Narissa, and it's really too bad. It's really a shame.
And like you said, as an actor, I look to the writing and the character development and whether it makes you care about the characters. And I agree. I don't think that arc could have been sustained. So death number 2. And we read a few spoilers or speculations that if you don't cry during this episode, you have no soul. And I cried during a Charlie Brown Christmas, so I figured better get out the Kleenex and all that. But I did not believe when I saw it that Picard was going to be dead.
Yeah.
I did hear rumors that Patrick Stewart wasn't going to return for season 2. I discounted that, but I heard them. And so I felt that was, to me, that was sort of a cheat. But I'll tell you, he made a big mistake not getting into an android body. You take that in a second. We've talked about that. My God, I have the chance to be reborn, and you give me this?
I will say this, though, the point in the episode, if we just talk about structurally how the show is done, the point that you get in the episode where Picard, quote unquote, dies, you still have maybe 15 minutes of show left, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it felt almost like, okay, we got that out of the way. We got this moment with Picard dying in front of his friends out of the way. So what are we going to do the rest of the show? Well, what we got then was this really heartfelt, thoughtful, tender scene with Data. And to me, so that is the point where I got choked up, and having watched it now 3 times, each time felt the emotional weight of it. And I thought just stylistically absolutely beautiful to cut back to Data in that room, preparing himself, sitting, he's got the brandy, he touches the pillow, he lays down, like all of that. I just, talking about it now, I feel the hairs on my neck go back.
Me too. Me too.
Right, because it's just so, it was lovely. It was a beautiful way to do that. And it was more about that than it was about Picard.
I'll give you that, because that's what I was going to get to next, the Data death. Now, I thought that what we saw, and I think you touched on this earlier, or maybe Rekha did, that Data sacrificed himself in Nemesis. So what we were seeing was sort of an echo or a carbon copy of Data. So I didn't think that I would get so choked up to lose him in a sort of more final, what's the word I'm thinking of? More final procedure. On the other hand, what's to stop Picard or anybody else from replugging in his memory stick with the giant flash drive that they just unplugged? I mean, it's not so much a cheat. It's like they wanted to finalize that chapter. I just felt that it was already done. It was well done. I love Brent Spiner as an actor. I love Patrick Stewart as an actor. But I felt that it was almost that at least Star Trek fans or Star Trek TNG fans would have already figured we've been there, done that kind of thing. I'm not trying to diss the episode, because this was the best episode of the season. There have been ups and downs, and quite frankly, we have trouble following a lot of it, and we don't watch it 3 times like you guys do. But I was moved by the brilliance and the realness and the richness of that scene. I just thought, okay, well, we're killing off another character, which I have a big problem with the series anyway. They've killed off like 15 characters that we bring back for 18 minutes and then disappear from the storyline. I have a problem with that. But
well, but here's you mentioned Nemesis, though, and there was something very satisfying, not because we killed off a character twice, but there's something very satisfying about this sort of very universal, very human thing that says, like, oh, I didn't get to say goodbye. I didn't get to have the moment that I wanted to have. And there is something really touching about this, because let's face it, like, a lot of people do not love Nemesis, and I don't blame them. And a lot of people do not love how Data died in Nemesis, and I don't blame them. And you kind of set it up with this cheesy B4 thing, and they're like, well, we could bring him back if we wanted to, but it'll be like the dumber brother. And none of that was very satisfying. But there was something about this that just felt so genuinely emotional. Again, not to serve Data, but to serve Picard. So we got to sort of have it both ways. And I think it was a very
It was touching.
Just a thoughtful way to do it. The other thing in here, though, that also got me emotionally, it wasn't just that scene, but you have then the scenes with Picard and Soji, where he's really trying to make this case for, this is who we are. This is what we do, and this is why these things are important. Like all those, I felt really. They really landed on the heart of all of those scenes.
It almost reminded me of his confrontation with Q in Next Generation, pleading for humanity's existence. It was very heartfelt, and he was speaking not just for himself, but for all of us.
Go ahead, Rekha. You looked like you were going to jump in there.
Yeah, I was just going to say too. For me, what was really deeply satisfying to my heart was, that thematically that Data is the heart of the whole series.
Yeah.
And he's a synth.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. And he's
a synth. Okay, you just winked out.
And he's the heart of it, because and that little thing that Picard says at the end, he says, it says a great deal about the mind of Data. He could look at the human race with all its violence, corruption, and willful ignorance. He could still see kindness, immense curiosity, and greatness of spirit. And he wanted more than anything to be a part of that. And I think that says, again, we talk a lot about choice in this final episode, and our imagination and how we choose to see things. And there was this incredibly intelligent being, a synth, who chose to see the beauty in humanity, and he could see it all very plainly, all of our ugly parts, more than a human could see it. He's, without bias, was what the ability that Data had. And he loved and fell in love with the beauty of the humanity, and that is our choice to fall in love with the beauty of humanity every day and not focus on the ignorance and the corruption. Of course, those things need to be dealt with, but not to be beaten down by them,
You just did it, Rekha. You just wrapped up the episode. You wrapped up the message. You just did mission log. That means we have to end the show now.
All right.
Thank you both. It's an honor to be with you as well as with Rekha. I'm glad that we made the connection. And thank you for having me on this supersized version of Mission Log Live.
It's a Mission Log Live XL edition. Thank you so much, Lou. Appreciate it. Guys. Take care. Rekha, so well said. That was it. I mean, that is the moral meaning message in this episode.
Yeah.
Well done. Well said.
I loved it.
Yeah. I got choked up. I really did. More than once. Yeah.
This was the only episode that I literally couldn't take notes the first watch through.
Yes. Same.
I just couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good, right?
Yeah. So good.
Right. All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. That was fun. Thank you, Earl. Thank you, Rekha. Thank you, everybody who let us go a little longer. And I see you guys saying, Carlos says Rekha with the mic drop. That's exactly. So thank you so much for that. And I tell you what, it wouldn't be Mission Log if you didn't do the RPN promo. So I'll just ask you to do that real quick, and then I'll say goodnight.
Absolutely. Where are we?
It's somewhere in there in purple for you.
There it is, purple. We, John and Earl and I, we all thank you for joining Mission Log tonight, and we want to quickly remind you that Roddenberry Podcast Network has even more shows to interest you. Oh, sure. I mean, you already know about Mission Log and Mission Log Live, duh. But there are so much more to get you through the week, because we know you're not doing much. Priority One Podcast, a magazine-style show featuring all the happenings in the Star Trek multiverse. You got to join them for their live show Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, guess what you're doing? 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Women at Warp. Love these ladies. I say the same thing every time, but I really love them. They're so good. It is Star Trek. through a feminist lens. The Trek Files, your weekly deep dive into the Roddenberry archive with Dr. Trek Larry Nemechek. What? Daily news. It is just like it sounds. It is your daily dose of Star Trek with all the news that fits into just 10 minutes. We know you have time for that. Finally, a science show that entertains as well as educates. Shabam!
Shabam!
Give them a listen. You can subscribe to all of them at podcast.roddenberry.com.
Hey, before we say goodbye, thank you to everybody who stayed with us, and David for saying that we did this like a season finale, 83 minutes, a super duper one, 84 now. And Rekha, you're awesome. You're a great friend. You're a wonderful co-host to have. I cannot thank you enough for having done this 10 weeks with me. Obviously, we will have to do something again sometime. Don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out.
I've had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for bringing me on board.
Such fun. And with that said, Mission Log Live is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment, executive producer Rod Roddenberry, technical production on Mission Log Live by the inimitable Earl Green. Be sure to visit podcast.roddenberry.com for the latest from the Roddenberry Podcast Network. If you'd like to support Mission Log directly, hey, that would be awesome of you. Give us a look at patreon.com/Mission Log. Thank you to everyone who joined us live or later and stayed for the long haul. Stay safe, stay healthy. We look forward to talking with you next week.